conversation starts now.
Hi there, this is Billy Earl with Eastern Shore Politics. Jake Burdette is our guest today, and we're going to talk about lots and lots of stuff. Jake, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. As a world traveler in political circles, I know you're just back from Chicago. I don't think we've had you on the show since you won your race for the Democratic Central Committee, and we really want to congratulate you. You ran a great race. I know you're involved with Kirkland Hall, and we're going to talk about that. But let's start off with what took you to Chicago.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that. I did just get back a couple days ago from a week-long trip in Chicago. It was pretty exciting because, to be honest, I'm 20 years old, but that was my first time ever leaving the East Coast. So
okay.
It was nice to get a change of scenery, meet kind of different people. But yeah, what brought me out there was there was a week-long, they call it a transformative leadership week-long training. It was with a national sort of progressive activist group called People's Action, and the way that I got into it was with being a member of the Lower Shore Progressive Caucus.
Got it,
yeah. Lower Shore Progressive Caucus is the local chapter of both Progressive Maryland and Our Revolution, and Progressive Maryland is a affiliate of the People's Action National Group. So
Gotcha.
They taught me a lot of skills about how to build power and really get other people involved in the social and political process. Because with the Lower Shore Progressive Caucus, we've done a lot of work. We've only been around for just over a year.
Yeah, but they're going places after a short period of time. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, in our short time as a group, I'm really proud of what we have accomplished. We've done a lot to transform the local political culture and show that there is a progressive political movement on the Lower Shore.
You may be the biggest thing to happen to what I would call center-left probably ever on the Eastern Shore.
Wow, and that feels really good to hear that I've been a part of.
Well, it's the work. You guys have done the work.
Yeah, they and I was not, to be fair, I was not there for the first maybe 6 months or so of their building. So I wasn't around to see like the very, very beginning, but just like, so by the time I got around, the infrastructure was kind of there, and then I just got to build on what they had started. But yeah, just for being around so short, I mean, really, like, what the progressive movement in general has done since 2016, because they like, there wasn't too big of a progressive movement before 2016, but like with Bernie Sanders' message, just kind of, everything just built from the ground up from there, and
he was the catalyst.
Yeah, and now we're seeing it at the local level with the in the Lower Shore with the caucus. So yeah, it's good to be a part, but as much as good that the Lower Shore Progressive Caucus had done, we had also, I felt, kind of like stagnated a little bit, because we just like we had gotten into a consistent routine of the way that we were doing things, because it had worked so well for so long, but we just got to kind of a critical mass of, we weren't really recruiting many new people. It was just kind of the same people the same base who had been there for a while doing the same things, and like, we're only like 8 or 10 people, we can only do so much, and it's because we weren't putting the time into building relationships with new people and getting new people into the fold so that we can have more of a division of labor. But this week-long training like really focused on how to build those relationships with people, and how to do effective like one-on-one meetings, for example. It doesn't sound like much, but there really is kind of an art to it, and how to build a relationship with someone and get them like involved and wanting to do more, and like helping them realize that that's actually in their self-interest to do so.
Right, okay.
So that was a really helpful skill that I've learned at this week-long that I hope I can bring back to the Lower Shore Progressive Caucus, so we can, not always be so stressed out that we've got a million tasks to do in a very short period of time.
Well, you guys have taken on a lot. Now, please tell me that while you were out there, you did get some deep dish pizza. Tell me.
Yeah,
Tell me.
So you're gonna kill me. Yeah, I did not get any, and I'm mad at myself because I told myself like you have to try the pizza because I love pizza and they're famous for that. But believe it or not, I only went to one like Chicago food place.
Okay.
Because the training it was at a college and they keep us on a very regimented schedule. So like. We were eating at the college food place like every meal, and then one time, me and a buddy like who I met down there, we stayed up till like 5 a.m. and went to like some 24-hour Mexican place. So still kind of Chicago, I guess. It was good. Yeah,
okay.
Not quite deep dish pizza.
Not quite.
It was still a good time.
But all of these training things and I know you've been to a number of them. You've been to the ones I know down in Silver Spring with our Revolution, and all of these are important because I think the idea is to take kind of the template that Lower Shore Progressive Caucus has here in Wicomico County and to expand that to the rest of the shore, because there are people out there, and I know they feel alone and they feel isolated, but they're not your typical right-wing Trump voter. They're not Republican in that way. They have a sense of where our country's going wrong, and they'd like to be part of fixing it. And so I applaud you for doing that, and I think it's of real importance that that's happening now. Do you find that it's manifesting and helping in your work with Dr. Kirkland Hall down in 38A?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what you say is true that I feel like rural America is often just written off as like a bunch of, backwards, right-wing, socially conservative people who are never going to vote for, a lefty. But like these people, they're people just like you and I. They don't vote against their self-interest knowingly. They vote against their self-interest, but not on purpose. It's because they're just not as well informed on the issues because no one has came along and said, no, this is the real like populist way that's going to make your life better. This is how Medicare is going to help you out. This is how a living wage is going to make your life easier. But they do, like you say, recognize that there is a problem with the current system and they desperately want something new.
Yeah.
And I think that was the appeal of someone like Donald Trump. People knew that they were rolling the dice with Donald Trump and that it was going to be a gamble. They knew that they might get screwed, but they felt like there's a chance that it might be something different. And that's why...
That's well put.
That's why Bernie's message really actually resonates in rural America. You see him doing town halls in West Virginia about Medicare for all and getting standing ovations. It's because people want a populist message, and Trump had a fake populist message.
Yeah.
And that's why they fell for it. But now that Trump has been in office for, nearly 2 years, people are finally seeing, like, okay, I think we might have been duped. And then they're looking to the Democrats to offer that true populist message. But, a lot of the Democratic Party establishment is kind of resisting that change. But the progressive populist wing of the Democratic Party that I'm a part of and that the Lower Shore Progressive Caucus is a part of, we just need to come in and say, no, this is the message that we're running with because this is the message that's going to resonate with these rural voters. And while canvassing in Somerset County to these very same types of voters that I'm talking about, it is really resonating. People, I'll go up to their doors and they'll tell me, like, hey, I actually vote Republican sometimes. They'll tell me that when I tell them Kirkland's a Democrat. And then, I'll tell them, like, well, hey, are you fed up with the way things have been running here? Like, Somerset County's been the poorest county in Maryland for over 40 years. Like, put party alignment aside. You just can't argue that things have been being run well here. We need this new third kind of option that someone like Kirkland embodies, a very anti-establishment populist message, and people have really been resonating with it. Even traditional conservatives who you would never expect, they like it when you stick to the issues, and and are passionate and explain how it can make their lives better.
Well, you know, the substantial voices, and I'm going to use the word substantial, that are emerging in our little neck of the woods here. You know, they include Kirkland Hall, they include Jake Burdette, they include Michelle Gregory, they include Jared Shabline. These are voices that are really all saying the same thing, you know, to the rural voter who typically has said, okay, you know, I want to be conservative. I don't want to, you know, really, I don't like change. I'm not looking for that. But it's time for change. It really is time for change, and it's time for people, working people especially, to get a fair shake and to get the kind of health coverage that doesn't drive them into bankruptcy in record numbers. They need to have some sort of mechanism within our government not to let capitalism run wild, because that's what we see in our society if we're not careful. We let capitalism become this horrible label that somehow says to people, oh, well, everybody can be a millionaire. In fact, to make the worst possible analogy I can, if you ever watch Who is America with Sacha Baron Cohen, when he plays that character who says, well, let's take the 99% and just put them in the 1%. The whole trickle-down philosophy, that's really kind of what they're saying. Let's take everybody and make them into the 1%. And of course, that never happens. It's a cruel joke. The Lower Shore Progressive Caucus and the other progressive arms on the Eastern Shore have got to develop a way to talk to people about these mainstream issues. And Kirkland can do it. You can do it. Michelle can do it. Jared can do it. Mike Pullen was a great person for doing this. But those voices have to be amplified, and we have to find ways to get those voices in the earpieces of more people out there. Now, of the things that are going on here right now, what's taking most of your time these days?
Yeah, so as you know, I have recently, probably within the last 2 months or so, had the honor of becoming a co-campaign manager for Dr. Kirkland Hall's campaign. I'm running for state delegate in District 38A, which covers all of Somerset County and then parts of Worcester County. So Kirkland is a great candidate. I don't think the Lower Shore and Somerset County in particular has seen a candidate this well-suited for the job and with this much of a history of Lower Shore activism as Dr. Hall. So I really think he has potential to be a great candidate. So I've been putting in pretty much any available free time I have into trying to help get Dr. Hall elected. And then in addition to that, I've also, as of the primary on June 26, I was elected to the Democratic Central Committee of Wicomico County, and I'm the vice chair of that. So I've been busy trying to get the local party affairs in order as well. We have several big fundraisers coming up. We have a Democratic Party unity dinner that should be happening in September, and Jamie Raskin, Representative Jamie Raskin, just committed to being the speaker for that.
Do you guys have a date for that yet?
No, that's we got a verbal commitment through email that he would be the speaker, and right now we're in the process of scheduling a day that works with his schedule, because being a congressman, incredibly busy. Yeah. So today was the last day that they're in session, actually. So we should be talking tomorrow about a day that's going to work. But we really want Representative Raskin because he's one of the biggest progressives in Congress, and
very familiar with his work.
Yeah. Now with the Lower Shore Progressive Caucus down here, there's a progressive movement on the Lower Shore, and with Ben Jealous, as the progressive governor candidate, we want to do everything we can to normalize progressive ideas and progressive politicians. So that's kind of what went into choosing him as being our speaker. So we're excited to have him, and so that's what I've been up to, is just Dr. Hall's campaign and getting the local county level party in order.
Well, tell me, where do you see the local Democratic Central Committee going? Because you got a lot of new blood and a lot of new energy and a lot of what I would consider to be top drawer thinking. Where do you guys see yourself going?
Yeah, definitely. There really is this kind of new energy that I'm guessing hasn't been seen in the county for probably a while. So we really need to focus on actually capitalizing on this new energy and not letting it all go to waste. Because I'd imagine something similar probably happened in 2008 when Barack Obama won. There was all this new energy. And
Nobody organized it, though.
Yeah, and then we let it go to waste. And then in 2010, we lost our majority. So we have to. That's priority number one, is not letting that happen again. Actually capitalizing on this. So what I think the way to go about it is, here in Wicomico County, we have nearly 4,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans, and I would tell people that when I was canvassing for Central Committee, and 9 times out of 10, it was always the same reaction. People were just in utter disbelief, like, what? There's 4,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans? Like, I thought I was the only one.
It comes as a surprise to people.
Yeah, and I think that is evidence of a major problem, that, like, we have the numbers, yet everyone feels so isolated, which means the local party's not putting their presence out there enough. We're not, like, making our presence known to the community, like, hey, we're here, we're Democrats, we care about what issues are important to you, we want to make your lives better. And I think part of that is I think they only really do the canvassing kind of around election time, and then that just kind of feels like a transactional relationship, like, oh, you only show your face when you want a vote. Like,
so you want my vote, huh?
Yeah, okay, where are you the other 4 years?
I got other things to do.
Yeah.
No, that's the way the party has been. The party's been guilty of a lot of things. I mean, it's a fairly long list, and it is time for change. But it's going to require people who not only have the correct thinking, but the energy, the organizational skills, to basically help people come to understand that it is the progressive movement that is really here to help them. There really is no other movement that is really committed to helping your average working family lead a better life. I don't care what the Republicans say, and I've said some pretty terrible things about Republicans over the years, but I will say this: all the terrible things I ever said have come to pass now, because now they have the leader of their party who turns out to be just as shallow and just as greedy and just as horrible as all the other things that were ever said. And I'm sorry that that's the case. I'm really sorry that that's the case, but I just can't see it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, what the Republican administration is doing is just, there's no other way to describe it other than they're an extremist party.
Yeah.
The things that they're doing are crazy. This is, I'm seeing reports like coming out that Americans are like spending less than medieval peasants, and like the level of income inequality is just like levels of feudalism, really. Like it's kind of just unheard of how bad and unequal things, in particular what they're doing to the environment. Like we were already,
it's disgraceful.
Yeah, like we were already going in the wrong direction, and they just, like, once Trump came in office, they just put their foot on the pedal even more and just are driving us, completely in the wrong direction. So things are bad, and I think most people know that, and now the question is the Democratic Party going to capitalize on this and offer an alternative? Because people are desperate for something new, and the Democratic Party, we just have to come and, like you said, say progressive policies are the answer to this. Like,
well, there is a war in the Democratic Party right now. There's no doubt about it. The progressive wing of the party and the establishment wing of the party don't see eye to eye, and for the establishment part of the party to say, oh yeah, we're just trying to make a big tent, we're just trying to give everybody their place at the table, is a bit disingenuous, because if you look at their recent history, that's not the way they behave. The way they behave is more along the lines of what you see the way that they treated Bernie Sanders during the process. It's about power. It's about influence. And, Nancy Pelosi is a Maryland gal, and I love her dearly. But let's be frank, her time is coming past. It's time for new. It's time for different. It's time for a party that speaks to people and says, okay, I'm not here as a representative of big corporations. I'm not here as a representative of the people who have been in power for the last 40 years. I am here with a new voice. And thank God we have people like yourself and Michelle and Jared and Dan O'Hare, and we've got people like Michael Pullen, people who represent the real future of the party. And if we as Democrats don't pay attention to them, we are completely missing the boat. Completely.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said 100%. I mean, so their whole strategy of, we have to run the more centrist, the more moderate, because that's what wins. Well, we tried their strategy in 2016. We went with Hillary Clinton, the more centrist, moderate candidate that they said would appeal to those right-wing voters. And look at that. It was a miserable failure. It did not work. She did technically get more of the popular vote, but overall she still lost the Electoral College. And we've tried that at the local level for decades. We've listened to the conventional wisdom that the Lower Shore is a conservative area. If we want to win as Democrats, we have to run conservative.
We have to pretend like we're Republicans.
Yeah. We've been doing that for decades, and look where it's got us. We have one Democrat at the county level.
Well, yeah.
So they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Well, we've tried their strategy over and over again, and it's just gotten us decimated at every level of government. So it just has not worked. Meanwhile, on the other hand, I'm a guy who I believe in the numbers. If you show me evidence that a strategy is going to work, then I'm going to want to try that strategy. You look at opinion polls. Medicare for all, majority of Americans support it. Free college, majority of Americans support it.
Yes.
Legalized marijuana, majority of Americans. You name the progressive policy issue, we have majority public opinion backing us, saying that this will be a successful issue to run on if you run on. The party just has to open its eyes and then see the evidence and act accordingly. There's a reason why Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in America, according to all the polls. It's not because we just love that he's a silly old guy. No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. It's not his personality. It's his policies that we like.
Okay, but don't sell silly old guys short.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, we're just about running out of time. Do me a favor. Is it August the 2nd at 5:30 at the Wicomico Public Library is the next Lower Shore meeting?
The next Lower Shore Progressive Caucus meeting is the first Thursday of every month, which this upcoming month would be. It would be.
Should be a week from today, I guess.
Yeah, a week from today. So yeah, it would be August 2nd. Is the next Lower Shore Progressive Caucus meeting, 5:30 in the basement of the Wicomico Public Library.
Okay, if you have an interest in politics, and especially if you have an interest in progressive politics, be there or be square. Jake, I want to thank you for coming by, and welcome back from Chicago. And we'll find a place somewhere that's got deep dish so that you'll have something
to recreate the experience. And I just want to say, if you're interested in getting local progressives elected to office, like I said, I'm a co-campaign manager for Dr. Kirkland Hall. He's been a lifelong progressive, former president of the NAACP in Somerset County, professor at UMES for over 40 years. Has always been an advocate for underprivileged communities, and now he's trying to do it at the electoral level through running for state delegate. If you'd like to volunteer with this campaign, please contact me. You can call or text me at 443-833-5051, or you can email me at jakeburdette12@yahoo.com. Burdette is spelled Burdett.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Billy.
Okay, this has been Eastern Shore Politics, and as Louis Goldstein, my favorite politician in the history of Maryland politics, always used to say, God bless y'all real good.
Yeah, the revolution starts now.